You felt like something's got to be better than this. So you romanticize relationships like they're something on TV versus actually something that needs to be worked out. So when you go through the first sign of trouble, you run like hell. How do you handle being told something that you don't want to hear? Not well. As I learned this week, actually, I was conversing with a friend of mine, and got on the subject of some things, kind of expressed one of my friends from back homes. So shout out to Chantel for this, but we had a talk, we had a discussion, and I was hearing things that about myself, rather, and I wasn't really listening. Right? I wasn't listening. I was analyzing. I was protecting myself as, this whole mental health journey has enabled me to do. It's like another shield, if you will, from getting to the root of things. And sometimes God and His universe just send messages through different, through everyone. Everyone is a messenger. And what I got in this, what I got through this is like, it was a hazard light. I feel like the conversation, the words that were being told to me initially, I couldn't respond like right in the moment. You know what I'm saying? I had to process it. I had to sit with it. And because initially my ego was like, I ain't trying to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? This is negativity and, and all that stuff. But what I learned, I was working out this week, because I work out every week. But I was working out and I was listening to The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson, which is a very, very good read. If you haven't had time to read it, it gets you out of your own way. A lot of the knowledge that's being spit in that shit. And one thing that always stands out for me from that thing is that you're not special. And by that meaning, like, your problems are not unique, as in like yours are not better than anybody's. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have your own set of problems. And my problem is the ego. You know what I mean? As much work as I do on trying to be masculine, on trying to work on mental health, and you're dealing with just the stuff, the avoidance, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I can say. I've learned what anxiety is. Another thing what anxiety can be perceived as, and that is avoidance. Avoiding something that you're supposed to be handling due to fear. And you know what I'm saying, afraid to try, afraid to succeed, or whatever you want to call it. And I had to sit with what was told to me, what was texted to me rather. And I had to deal with myself being my ego, and just protecting an identity. An identity of what though? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's an attachment. As much as I hate attachments, it's just funny how the ego will sneak its way back in there, and then you have to deal with yourself. But like I said, mistakes are also another thing I learned this week, is that mistakes are meant to be a lesson, not a life sentence. And I have been holding things over me, for like a life sentence. You know what I'm saying? Especially stuff that has to do with my kid. A part of me that is like, once you get knowledge, you think about what you could have done in the past, and you just beat yourself up about it. And it's part of being a perfectionist, I won't lie. It's perfectionist, narcissism in this case, because a narcissist can't take anybody saying shit about them. And that ego is a motherfucker. It's tough. It's strong. It's and it's all because you had to defend yourself. I mean, it's all being rooted and growing up in conditional love. You know what I mean? So for those of us that are loved unconditionally, it doesn't really matter what anyone says. We know that we're loved. But if you felt like, you felt conditional love and you had to be this in order to receive love, then anything that is an attack on your identity, on who you believe you are, the ego's going to defend that shit like nobody's business. And everybody knows me, that's really, really close to me. I can't take criticism, not like that, and that's something that's to work on. That's the last of the beta in me that really needs to be worked on, is dealing with that a certain type of criticism. And I say for the most part, I could really handle it. But there's anything that triggers something from childhood or the past, it gets me in a position where I felt like I've had to be, it's all about being seen, right? Acceptance, if you will, because we're tribal. Back in the day, well, I'm gonna say back in the day, like it's fucking 20 years ago, but long time ago, we used to, fitting in meant survival. So constantly, we got people today that are always trying to fit in because we got the same brains that we had when we were cavemen. So if you're trying to fit in, that meant life or death as far as like hunting goes and resources and all that shit. But today, we don't really require to fit in with somebody in order to survive. We really can be okay living by ourselves now. I mean, wants are one thing, but need, no. I know that I always was trying to do that. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to be accepted. I was trying to be seen, if you will. It's never enough. The ego never gets enough. You know what I'm saying? The ego is never satisfied. You always want more. The goalpost for happiness just keeps fucking moving, and it gets tiresome. It gets really, really tiresome, and you find yourself getting exhausted and becoming something like a character. You become a character of yourself, and you take on different personas. You take on being, I'm gonna say not being something that roughly being something that you're not. And what is it all for? It's all to get a certain type of praise. It's all to be seen. It's all to be heard, be loved, if you will. And I really had to sit with myself. I separated myself from like a lot. Like I've just been really tripping lately. And like I said, in full disclosure, ever since the relapse, right? This thing has been different because it's been almost 2 months now, and I'm proud of myself for that. It's been 2 months since watched porn and shit like that, right? And for those who are not familiar with like addiction, that shit is real. It can really fuck with you. So when going through this shit and learning about in therapy, my therapist Megan, who's dope as fuck. If you guys need a therapist and you're in the Jacksonville area, definitely look up Megan, or anything, contact me. I'll contact her to contact you, however it works with your insurance card, because you got to have insurance, niggas. Make sure you got your shit. But I know Megan was telling me about PAWS recovery, which is post-acute withdrawal syndrome. And a lot of the symptoms that I find myself having is rooted in what in this particular program of recovery, whatever you want to call it, so like irritability, mood changes, headaches, anxiety, depression, roller coaster, up, down, all over the place. And so the shame, the guilt, and all that stuff and even that is more so that was embedded, made to feel shamed. Shame was used as a manipulation tool for some households. And not, I don't believe it. I believe the intent was to get the person to listen, but I don't think they understood the lasting effects that it has on the human brain and even themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, those that come off like they have like the strongest self-esteem, but deep down inside, they're just holding on. And some do a really good job, and it's okay to want to be strong, but you have to embrace everything, every feeling that you have. So I truly want to thank my friend for being that hazard light, on the dashboard. Like, hey, you need to check this shit out. Like, your shit is, why are you why aren't you able, why do you always feel attacked? Why do you always feel like, I'm saying, it's, I'm attacking you and all this other shit and everything I didn't want to fucking hear. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to sit with that and absorb it, think about it, process thoughts, separate yourself from your ego, and just look at it, the situation, not as what you want it to be, but as it is. And I had to take it, right? So I did. I took it, and I realized that I'm just trying to defend something that I'm attached to this identity of whatever, you know what I'm saying? Be it someone that doesn't make mistakes, someone who is who thinks they're bigger than humanity, as I always speak about. And that's how sneaky the ego is, right? Even saying it's not the ego can even be the ego. And I know that I definitely struggle with that, and trying to be seen, trying to do so many things to be recognized, and just caught up in my own, like I said, narcissism, and not being able to take any criticism in the process. Being bullied as a kid and still triggered like from certain shit, and not wanting to deal with it. The avoidance, better known as anxiety, walking away from that. But I love that Mark Manson put in his book, that negative emotion is nothing but a call to action. So I am learning to, again, walk towards the fire once recognizing it. So, first you have to see it. Again, the teacher appears when the student is ready, as one of my mentors, Richard Cooper, says. So, I'm saying, and also what my best friend Takara, T-Dot, excuse me, I don't want to give out the government, but T-Dot, she states that, the truth cannot be told, it can only be realized, right? And you go through a lot. You live long enough, you'll go through some shit, you'll see different things. A lot of people thinking that they were in pain, projecting said pain onto you. If you get filled up with so much pain, the leftovers got to go somewhere. So it gets pushed on, and you become attracted to the toxic. Chaos is normal. If you grow up seeing, like, feeling like you've seen chaos, it becomes normal to you when you get older. So like the boring, healthy relationships, nobody wants to be involved with that, right? So you end up going for risky behavior, and you end up dealing with hurt people that, just like yourself, that hurt people. Whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, it happened. You know what I mean? And and once you're able to see yourself in them, you can extend the grace. And that's what we want to do. We want to get to a point of like extending the grace, forgiveness, if you will. No matter how much pain you feel it may cause you, the only person that, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. And, playing victim and letting that define you, using that as a reason why you're not able to succeed, why you're not able to get over the hump. And only person that it hurts is you. You can decide what's going to happen. There's a lot of people. Look at Jackie Robinson, the way he dealt with, getting called a nigga, and like the treatment that he got from white people trying to play baseball. Let's just say he would have quit. You know what I'm saying? Would he be revered as he is today? So like I said, it's really not what happens to you. It's it's how you respond to it, and understand that everything happens for you. You may not see it. You have to go through suffering, right? And suffering can be a bitch. It really can. But it is all part of the process. So, how do I take, criticism, being told something I don't want to hear? Not the greatest. I've learned that lesson this week, but I'm definitely moving in, I would say, moving in a better way with more awareness. So, like I said, to my friend back home in VA, I appreciate you. What helps you to be more productive or creative? Let me see what helps me. What really helps me be more creative and productive? Listening to others' ideas, right? Not stealing their idea, but just listening. And I'll say music. Music definitely helps. Classical music, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, all them niggas, Strauss. They definitely help me get creative. It really all depends. I mean, music just in general. If I put on some shit that I used to hear my dad play growing up, that definitely can give me some like creative juices. Something my mom, even something my little brother might have put me on to, or somebody that one of my friends put me on to something like that, and it just it can definitely get the creative juices flowing. Like when I'm trying to come up with material for the podcast and all that stuff, I think that when I'm talking to people and I get to listen to, real life scenarios, real things that people are actually going through, I'm able to come up with concepts that I feel might be helpful to talk about on air when I'm doing the podcast. Creative musically, like when I'm producing music, same thing. I'll hear like one of my favorite producers, Timberland, being from Virginia and growing up listening to Timberland, Magoo, Missy, Aaliyah, Genuine, the whole, I forget the fucking group that they were called in it or whatever, but all of them together. And then when Pharrell entered the system, entered the airwaves, it's like, yo, I get inspired by these guys. So whenever I'm about to make music, I'll listen to one of their beats that I just feel like is just phenomenal or whatever. One by Pharrell that I really like is I'm Beamin' by Lupe Fiasco, and then If by Nelly. I used to play that shit out. You know what I mean? Me and my brother used to ride in my first car, Lucille. She was an 87 Taurus, and we used to ride. He used to ride with me. He was little. He probably was like 9. I think he was 9 when I left for the Air Force. But we used to ride around. I would play that fucking Neptune's Presents the Clones album out. But the melody for the Nelly If, I definitely recommend you Google that, YouTube it or whatever. But that melody used to really get me hyped. Used to get me motivated. I used to rap with him in the car, and it was fun. It was fun. But what that does is just take me back, and it just keeps me grounded. So when I'm creating music and all that stuff, it helps me. You know what I'm saying? So or whatever type of track I'm trying to make, find something with a similar drum pattern, and then kind of infuse my own twist on it. So that's I guess how I like to be. That's what helps me be more creative. Yeah, that's what helps me get more creative. Meditation too. When I get inside my thoughts and just try not to think. Truly, and that's where because you don't want to force music. That's how you get writer's block. or producer's block, however you want to call it. It's got to come natural. If I could tell anybody that's like into music, been doing this shit since, I don't know, producing music since I was probably like 21, but playing the keyboard by ear since I was probably 16, 15, something like that. My parents bought me a keyboard. But, get them creative juices flowing, you just gotta feel it. It's a feeling. It's a feeling that you get listening to music. Alcohol helps too. Weed, smoking a little bit. It definitely can be helpful at times, when I used to do so. But alcohol, like, again, like wine or something like that. What else can be, like I said, encouragement, talking to like people that you value, and listening to the stuff they talk about. And then once something triggers, you get like an idea, you get an epiphany or something like that, you roll with it. What also helps me be creative, most ideas come when you're in the shower, because that's like when your brain's in the theta stage. So like you'll get most of your ideas in your sleep, and you get ideas when you're taking showers. So I don't know if people notice, like, a lot of ideas that come to mind when you're showering. That's because you're in, the hot water and stuff like that. It kind of puts you in this theta stage where a lot of your ideas can, come to life. So, I mean, I want to say that, yeah, like that's honestly what I feel like helps me be more productive and creative. And yeah, I'm creative. What mistake do you keep making, and why do you keep making it? What has it cost you? The mistake that I keep making, living an illusion, right? Living in this made-up world. And I believe that it's all comes from dealing with trauma and going through trauma alone, or feeling like going through, you feel like you had to deal with it alone. And it's like you come to this idea that there's something that has to be better than what I'm in right now, right? So everything becomes either really, really great, or it's really, really bad. You become a vacillator, as they call it in the book How We Love, where things were, you felt like something's got to be better than this. So you romanticize relationships like they're something on TV versus actually something that needs to be worked out. So when you go through the first sign of trouble, you run like hell, and I can honestly say it's been my life for a very long time, without having any understanding, getting it from someone, being it taught, whatever it is. But that's one mistake that I know I've made, is living in illusion, and a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like this idea, falling for the idea of somebody. Damn near, I fell for the, I don't know how many times I fell for the idea of who a woman was, right? And then when something happens that you don't necessarily care for, and you're like, I'm out this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Like literally, it's, and that's a real person you're dealing with, a person with feelings, and you know what I'm saying? But you're so caught up in yourself that you're not even able to care for others' feelings. Maybe because you felt like your own feelings never mattered. That's another thing, you know what I'm saying? That can be part of that. But yeah, living, like I said, living in illusion is the mistake that I kept making. And what did it cost me? It cost me a lot, actually. I'm not defined by these losses, but it cost me, like, I believe it cost me family issues. Like being connected with the family. It cost me jobs, like everything. I feel like I was so caught up in the idea of things, and I didn't take things for what they were. I took things for how they were in my head. And if you did not operate the way that I had it set in my head, then you had to go. Or I got scared, or, there was fear that seeped in while I was going through that thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody else has ever dealt with that, but when you've gone through something and you just feel like there's no way out, you just feel like there's got to be something better than this shit. It has to be. It has to be. Like, wanting to, move out of your parents' house and, or trying to find this unicorn type love out there. Shit that you see in movies. You think that it's just all, it's going to be like Aladdin meeting Jasmine. You know what I'm saying? And then you learn that, you know what I'm saying? That's not, you don't see a person for who they are. You see a person for what you want them to be. And you try to change them at that, you know what I'm saying? Versus learning to love them, you're trying to change them to fit your idea in your mind. And, it's a selfish way of being. You're not taught any better. You're used to having your way about things. You can get lost. You can get lost in translation. And then when shit finally clicks, you're like, I don't want this shit. So now you feel guilty about getting yourself into this, realizing that this isn't really what you want. And I can't tell you how many times that I found myself in that position. I mean, I practically broke off an engagement, living in my own imagination, illusion, if you will, and only seeing my feelings in the situation, and ran scared. Lie, it was fear, bitched up, beta shit all day, and you know what I'm saying? That's another thing I would like beat myself up about, because I had to cause pain to somebody. And it wasn't intentional, you know what I'm saying? Mean to do it, but still did it. And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Whether you meant to hit them with your car or not, you still hit them. Pain was inflicted, you know what I mean? And part of me was struggling with that forgiveness for a long time. Just feeling like, just a fuck up. I'm just gonna do like things that are happening to me is because of karma and whatever it was. Like, I don't deserve this shit. That fucking word, deserve. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was talking with a friend of mine tonight, and I was like, you don't ever get what you deserve. You only get what you negotiate and what you tolerate. And but I just, you become what you think about. So if you believe that you're a failure, you become a failure. So I just kept making the same mistake, living in illusion, trying to climb my way out of this rabbit hole. And I was in quicksand. So no matter, like, I kept putting myself in deeper shit, if you will. Relationships, toxic ass relationships, not speaking up, not knowing how to communicate my thoughts and feelings, afraid to hurt somebody's feelings. So I stayed in a relationship for a long time, like 2 years, literally. Stayed in a relationship for 2 years for fear of hurting somebody else's feelings. So I risked my own feelings for somebody else. And the thing, and that's about the ego, as kind of mentioned earlier, is anything that goes against this identity of who you believe you are, you're going to defend it. The ego is going to defend it. So I just didn't want to be known as the bad guy. And discomfort never killed anybody. And these lessons you learn later in life, because you didn't have it. You didn't have that teaching. You didn't have those life lessons. So you go, you're in survival mode. You know what I'm saying? You operate as a means of survival. However it means I got to get it how you live, like hot boys say. But trying to just survive in the spirit of survival, a lot of times you come off selfish. And when you come off selfish, it can push, you know what I'm saying, like people away. But I mean, of course, that's not the intention. It's literally just fear. It's literally just scared as fuck. You know, it's like trying to, you know, you get a dog that's like, you know, like a loose dog or whatever. You find him and you kind of, you know, everybody tries to catch him. You back into a corner. That motherfucker's gonna be, you know, he's shivering and shaking and shit. So there's a lot of shivering and shaking going on in my life, and I didn't know who to trust. There's times I still question that shit. You know what I'm saying? I think number one, I feel like I question my own trust in myself and my own judgment. But and that's what living in fear will do. Living in fear makes you question your own judgment. Learning to live in love, trusting relationships, trusting yourself is, like I said, it's growth. It takes time, and I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. You know, as far as like how to be better, how to grow as a man, grow as a person. But like I said, living an illusion, it really, yeah, I was just living in this idea of life versus living in life. You know, I was constantly in thought. You know, my brother said to me one time on one of the podcasts that we did, a random shit episode, is that, you know, you're in your head too much. And, you know, ever since then, I think about that. And I think about how much I'm constantly in thought. And when I'm in thought, I'm in illusion, because I'm like trying to recreate the past, fix the past, or I'm trying to prevent something from happening in the future versus living in the present moment. So it says, like it says, learning lessons, seeing yourself from having a what do you call it, an epiphany, if you will, and seeing yourself down, your ego allowing you to believe that you're worthless or whatever this is, and then you sit back and you laugh at yourself because you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, mistakes are made for you to learn from, and that's what you have to do. You have to choose to learn. And learning is everything, right? You know what I'm saying? Always stay a student. But sometimes you get full of yourself. Your ego will really be thinking that, you know, you start to learn knowledge, new shit, and then you feel like no one can tell you shit. And that's where we fuck up. And life has a way of humbling you. So, you know, like I said, I'm grateful, man, for going through it, seeing things the way that, you know, seeing things play out the way that they do, and being able to just say, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, don't take it, it's not the end of the world. What would happen? I love what, you know, I was talking earlier about my therapist, Megan, who I appreciate very much. And I love how she mentioned, you know, this whole thing was about being accepted, right? The ego and all that shit, being seen. Who did you want to be seen by? Your parents, your family, you know what I'm saying? People that you valued. So what would it mean if you got that acceptance, if you were seen? I don't really know what it would mean. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're so ingrained and fixed on, you know, trying to fit in, that these things you just do shit without even consciously thinking about it. Like, after you're just thinking in fear, you're thinking of a fear thing. You know, when you're a kid and shit happens to you that scares you, you look for a parent. But as an adult, when these things happen, you have to look within, because you are now the adult. And that's really just your wounded inner child. Our anger, fears, and all that shit is just our wounded inner child looking to be let know that they're okay. But a lot of us have a wounded inner child who had things happen to them and didn't feel like they had any safety. How crazy is it to look for safety in an unsafe world? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not able to go to school. We're not able to go to church. We're not able to go to work. What else? So anything can happen at any given time. But we're convinced, it's an illusion. It's living an illusion. The illusion that we live in a safe place, right? And truthfully, we don't. We have to accept that. Take life for what it is and not for what we want it to be. But at the same time, be prepared and don't stop living in that matter. Because, playing it safe, look back on your life. What are you going to do? I don't think that's what life is about. But, living an illusion cost me a lot. But all in all, I gained lessons in the suffering. So I'm much better for it going forward. And I look forward to the future.